Welcome back. You're still watching Nedbank Business Watch. Now for our market analysis segment, Toba Kamete, the Treasury Sales Manager, joins me in studio. Very good afternoon to you and thank you so much for coming through. We do have the US-China trade conflict ramping up again. How could we see that, confrontation? How could we see it playing out when it comes to global markets?
Good afternoon, Notsile, and thank you for having me. We continue to see tensions between the two major currencies, major economies. So we continue to see tit for tat tariffs being thrown around between the two, with port tariffs being the latest. And that is sort of, creating uncertainty in the global market, and that these are two economies that drive basically the world economy. So when there is that uncertainty between the two of them, it creates a bit of tension and uneasiness amongst investors.
Right. Now, while we stick with the US, we do have the Morgan Stanley quarter 3 performance earnings report, actually, that's expected to be coming out soon. Exactly what could the results signal, about a broader tipping point perhaps for US financial sector returns?
So the market is sort of expecting a good third quarter performance for Goldman Sachs, as well as that is based on what we've seen. On Morgan Stanley. That is what we've seen from other financial institutions, big banks in the US that have reported their earnings already. We're expecting that to sort of round up today with Morgan Stanley and the Bank of America, and both are expected to perform quite well, and we expect that to sort of push up the price of the S&P 500 index and US equities as a whole.
Perhaps we could look at the numbers, starting off with currencies. South African rand is gaining ground on betting of the US Fed rate cuts. How are we looking? How could we, emerging markets, currencies actually leverage on this wind?
Yeah, so the Fed chair sort of gave dovish comments yesterday on the interest rate trajectory of the US, hinting on further rate cuts in the US, with markets sort of pricing in a 25 basis point cut in October, as well as another 25 in December. So that has sort of weighed heavily on the dollar. Yeah. And as such, we see emerging currencies gaining more ground as a result of that. Investors are sort of then looking at more risky assets to put their money in. As you can see, the rand has strengthened against major currencies, 17.3 against the US dollar, 20.12 against the euro, and 23.12 as well against the pound.
Right, moving on, we're going to look at commodities. We do have gold that's been performing relatively well quite late. Perhaps you could give us your prediction. Can we see it go? In fact, it's already above the 4,200 US dollars per ounce, but just how much higher can it go?
Okay. So gold is performing quite well, and not so long ago that 4,000 was actually a projection, but we've seen it come to pass, recording levels of 4,217 actually today, record levels that we have not seen before. The market is sort of anticipating to see that continuing with the economic factors that we continue to see, the prolongation of the US government suspension, looking at the tensions between China and the US, and other geopolitical and economical tensions that we continue to see in the global market. Right. As you can see, 1.44%, which is quite significant increase for gold, and a slight increase for Brent crude at 0.14%.
Right. Yes. Then when we look at our equities, are they riding the wave, or especially taking advantage of the government US government shutdown? Actually, that's actually entering its third week today, if not yesterday.
Yes, it's been a while. We're hoping that we'll get a bit of, a resolution to that, because it's sort of clouding markets as well. We're not seeing economic data coming out. We're supposed to see the US CPI number coming out today, but we didn't see that. Hopefully we'll get to see a view of that next week. But to your question, so equities are doing quite well. It's a number of factors, that being one of them. But the second one is the dovish stance of the Fed in terms of rates, saying that they'll be cutting rates. So if rates are going down, then investors look at riskier or higher yielding solutions or investment opportunities to put their money in. They then look at the equities. As we've discussed, that they're doing quite well because of the financial sector, because of the AI chip makers, which are also reporting quite good numbers.
Right, fair enough. Toba, thank you so much for your insights. That was Toba Kameta, Treasury Sales Manager at Nedbank, filling us in on what's actually shaping trading or markets today. Otherwise, this has been Market View, Nedbank Business Watch, rather, my apologies. Until the next edition, thank you so much for staying with us. Bye.
Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch was brought to you by Nedbank.